Welcome back. Welcome back. Another week, another slate of games to talk about in preview. How we doing, Draper? How's the past week been for you?
It's been a grind, man. Honestly, felt like we just talked yesterday about last week, and I took a lot of crazy predictions. I thought they were going to happen, but things worked out differently. It was a good weekend, right? Like, how about you?
It's been great, but it's crazy that you mentioned crazy predictions because we had a guest a couple weeks ago that at the time he made a prediction that I thought was crazy. I was like, yeah, no way. Turned out he was spot on. The one and only Mr. Dominic Feeney, who called the prediction I'm talking about. You called this the mind stuff. Everything that's kind of happened to minds over the last couple of weeks and the things that have kind of been exposed. We'll get into it more, but how have you been, man? It's been a couple of weeks. You're can you tell us a little bit about your high school team, how you guys are doing right now?
Yeah, we're doing really good. I'm up at Mesa Ridge. We're on the south side of Colorado Springs. We had a rough start at to go from the season, 1-4, but we played ranked number one, number two, number three, number four, and those were our losses. And each one of them, we were in those games and just made crucial errors. So we know where we're at. We came back, bounced back, and got a big win over Pueblo West last week. They're a really good team. A lot of respect and love there. But
Do
we
you
were
know
able to
some
get
of
the
those
job done.
kids I imagine, do you know some of those kids just from camps and whatnot, like over the years from
Yeah, I mean
you're not
the
that far removed from it?
the starting quarterback was my trainer's son. You know, Coach Leo's oldest son is a sophomore there, so there
Oh,
was
that's
there
pretty
was
cool.
some ties, but like Coach Leo used to say, it's a faceless opponent. I wasn't when there's bad blood, there's good blood. I don't take any of that. It's a faceless opponent, and we got to go win a football game.
Well, speaking of football games and winning football games, that's what we're here to talk about. We're gonna start with the battle of the minds because this was our most competitive game this week, and as you're gonna see, South Dakota as the season gets going, you can just see they're really starting to turn it on. Like we're watching them grow up before our eyes. This defense and whatnot, they're really getting after Mr. Capra, and this is something that you pointed out and you kind of called before anybody. The Mines offensive line maybe being a little bit leaky, but something I feel like I called was Joseph Capra just being a dude, which I think he is. Under fire or not, he clearly was under pressure all game. But another day with no turnovers. Just ran the offense efficiently. And Mines, they're gonna escape with a dub, and they did their thing defensively too. And then I really love what we're seeing from Gage Baker. Like, look at this on the run, Mason Galbraith going up and getting it. Oh man, that's beautiful. That was just beautiful. But Mines, like I said, they had it going on the defensive end too. Brady Zingelman, who I think's a really standout, all conference level player. He did his thing. And Mines, they walk away with the 10-point 24-10 victory. They grinded this one out, got the 14 early, and then just kind of whittled it away. Didn't let SD Mines really get back into it too much. But what do you guys think of this game, and what are your takeaways?
Yeah, first off, I mean, I was way off when I said that I had South Dakota Mines winning by 3. Turned out a little bit different, but I mean, watching in the game, this is a completely different team from what we watched at the beginning of the year. I said it, before we got on the stream. Imagine if we had what they're doing now to start out with and what they'd carry on. Um, it kind of there's kind of flashes that this could be a team of the future that you got to deal with since they're all kind of young. But it also goes over to Colorado School of Mines to where you've seen every other big powerhouse take care of these guys kind of no problem, and why can't you truly? It kind of points out what Dom was saying with the O line, them being leaky and giving up a lot of situations that Capra just doesn't feel comfortable in. And then there's times where back to Flynn Shilly not being on the field, like it's a real big loss for him. So for Colorado School of Mines, last week started the playoffs. They can't afford to lose another game, or your playoff hopes are nowhere. South Dakota Mines, you are the spoiler of the year. You're trying to take away everybody else's happiness, and you just keep doing it. I mean, yeah, you lose a game, but I mean, you lost a game against a team that's been in the national championship the last 2 of the 3 years, only by 10 points. So you just keep building from there. And viewing wise, there was more than 17 students. So I was pretty proud to see that. And it looked like it was a packed out house. Packed out meaning there were more cars parked than they probably could have allowed. But it was cool, good little game to watch. It was definitely the most competitive out of all the RMAC slate that we had.
What'd you think, Dom?
So to start with the Mines guys, I got a lot of flack for pretty much saying they're not it a couple weeks ago.
Welcome to the life.
Well,
Welcome to the life, bro.
And then they went out and were not it. Listen, when you step onto a football field, you can look in someone's eyes and if a O-line is indomitable or not. And Mines offensive line is not indomitable. That's just how it is. They've gotten better. I want to say hats off to them. I challenge you guys on the Mines guys, go out there with the mindset those guys had like 3 years ago where they're just not going to be beat. They're not going to give up plays. Hats off to them to getting better. 4-2, not a bad spot to be in. South Dakota Mines, I was very critical of them in the beginning, thinking, hey, they're not going to really do anything based off what I've seen. But then they come out and they get better. And that's hats off to Coach LaFleur and that staff. It's hard to do when you're in a bad spot like that, looking as bad as you do and get so much better. It really shows that these guys are bought into getting better. But it all comes back to, if you look that bad the first 4 weeks of the season, whatever you're doing over the summer is not it. I'd love to see Mines, South Dakota that is, kind of take that next step. It looks like they have some pieces, they have some coaching, they have all the stuff, but they just come out in the season flat and then pick it up later as it goes. I challenge them to have from January to July, get it done, and then come out week 1 looking like they did in this game, which was they were in it.
What do we think about as I was watching this game, and you can see on the stat line, Dawson Dunbar had a couple big runs. I want to say Ty Harris had a couple big runs. What's up with the Mines run defense? Like, when have teams ever really been able to run the ball in like recent history on Mines? And they're coming off the Mesa game where Mesa and Brandon Belgrave, had his coming out party on him. Like, what do you think is the problem? Do you think it's the defensive line or the linebackers, or a combination of the both? I mean, you played on the defensive line. What are you seeing on that end for Mines, and what are some of the problems?
Maybe I think a piece of it is experience. It is some new guys, some younger guys that, they're starting to get their first real action where things are getting real. I think they just need more experience. It's not like they were bad, can't let stuff up, but they're getting better. I'm not as critical on that side of the line as I am of the other side.
What do you think, Draper? Do you think I'm thinking too much into it, or is it a real problem?
No, it's kind of like Dom said. Like, I mean, when you replace the 4 backers, and on top of that, you're playing with, I think, a second string now. I don't think old Emerald High boys back, but it's just the struggle of not getting enough plays. As a backer, you see a lot of plays, and that's what gets you like set up to make the play. Like, you see the same play 1,000 times, you know how to make the play. When you're seeing it for your first time as a starter live over and over, it's just a lot of new things that they're not settled into yet. In the past, too, you look at the defense, the pressure has been, high. Like, that's the backers just had to step into a gap and make the tackle after that. It's a true miss, but it also comes with, the takeaways haven't been there either through all sides of the ball, the D-line to the linebackers to the cornerbacks. This is a team that they're like plus 40-something a couple of years ago, and I don't even want to say they're probably at like 20. I don't even think they're at 20 yet takeaways, and that's the key of the game. You want to get takeaways, you want to get sacks, and that's where they're struggling at. They can't produce the pressure, and when you have a team that can run the ball, I mean, last week was different game. We were going against a team that wants to run the ball the whole time, against a team like South Dakota Mines, who's still trying to figure out their identity, and you give them the opportunity to run for 117 only on 14 carries, which is pretty
He
wild.
was
Like,
busting. He was
yeah,
busted.
like you usually see 100 yards on like 22 carries, 20 carries, stuff like that. So, like kind of like Dom said, South Dakota Mines, they were in this game, and that's a bad look for Mines. Like, if you want to be that dominant fashion that you just watched your leaders, leave off with 4 rings, two appearances in the national championship game, you're not going to get there by doing this.
True. Well, they did still win the game. I know we're kind of on them a little bit, but that's just because of the standard that they've built. They built a really high standard, a standard of excellence, and yeah, we're just kind of holding them to it. But they did win nonetheless. They got the victory. But our next game, we got a little bit of video. Shout out to my boy Oli in Pueblo, all the guys over there. Zach Rakowski, dude, your guys' former teammate, senior year, getting his first tub of the year. That's nice to see. Caden Rulo, fitting right into that legacy of great safeties and whatnot. And then Keon, this is just like the greatest hits this weekend against Fort Lewis. But this video is not going to show the whole story. I actually think Fort Lewis, they showed a lot of fight and toughness and scrappiness. They forced some fumbles. I think two of them were on back-to-back plays actually. Like one they didn't recover. And then Pueblo ran a screen, and Devin Cross got stripped right at the goal line. Like, I think Fort Lewis showed a lot of fight, but Pueblo, they ended up winning comfortably, as you would expect. As you would expect the number 11 team in the nation to do so. That was a big hit right there. That probably hurt. Yeah, there's not much more to say. Pueblo handled business. Fort Lewis, I think their defense bowed up and showed a lot of fight, but offensively they struggled. They weren't able to get into the end zone. And yeah, that's kind of it. You'll see Reggie Retzlaff doing Reggie Retzlaff things, of course. Had to get his 2 touchdowns before it all ended. Yeah, Pueblo's since the Fort Hays loss has just handled business. They've just been steady and about their business. They don't play with their food very much, and yeah, like I don't know what more to say about Pueblo. Like, what'd you guys see? Were you guys super impressed? Were there things you maybe didn't like? What'd you guys see from the Thunderbolts this week?
I mean, I'll be the down guy. I thought they played really well. Again, I've lost the Pueblo, so I mean I've lost the Fort Lewis, so I'm happy to see when they come out and they beat them. Also, kind of jealous I never got to wear those powder blues like that with the pink accessory colors, because that would have been a killer color wave.
Man,
But offensively they looked there. They look ready to make the plays. Defensively they were making plays. They're able to give more opportunities to the offense to go out and score. Roman Fuller, the week that he had a decent week. He truly did have a decent game. He had 1 turnover. It's just one of those things where it's just like, yeah, you can't have that happen. Reggie
that should have been a
things.
touchdown too. Should have been really like 102-yard pick 6, but DTA with the hustle got that tackle and saved the touchdown. But yeah, like,
and very much what I was leading up onto is like the fact that interception was pretty deep. It's still the pride and the history of Pueblo not giving up on the play. I mean, we talked about this 3 weeks ago. If you let the guys run down the field against Central Missouri, it's game over. We're looking at a 6 or 5-2 team, right? Like, so it's obviously the standard's still there. Make everybody earn every yard of what they're going to get the score. Defensively for Fort Lewis, I gotta give a shout out to the guy that we always talk about, Jacob Penny.
Dog.
Dude flies around week in, week out. I mean, 15 tackles a game is pretty much his average lately. He gets in there, they force the fumbles, they get the turnovers. That's really the only negative thing is, you forced, I believe, 4 turnovers, and you didn't really come away with much from it. When you flip it over to CSU Pueblo, you get to the games where it's actually going to truly matter. You have 4 turnovers. I doubt you walk away in a 49-13 game, right? So it was a hard-fought game for Fort Lewis, and I thought a really good overall takeaway for CSU Pueblo to walk in, take the win, do the things minimum necessary to walk out with a W?
Yeah, where I'm at with it is that Fort Lewis is always the toughest game of the year because they're the trap game for CSU Pueblo. Like SD Mines is Western's trap game. Fort Lewis is CSU Pueblo's trap game. We've had very successful years where our lone RMAC loss is to a 2 or 3 win Fort Lewis team. So these guys responded great. I'm pretty positive about what Fort Lewis did. I thought that they fought really hard. I really like the direction that program's going, even though the win-loss column doesn't show it. I think it's time to talk about Bryson Torrey for RMAC Defensive Player of the Year. I think that's where we're at. I mean, he's just
balling,
showing up, doing his job. I mean, there's nothing more to say about it. Offense took care of business. Where I love about what the Thunderwolves are doing right now is their turnover margin. They're taking care of the ball on offense. Yeah, Roman had that slip up. He's going to get better. It's not going to happen again. But the turnover margin, they're getting a lot of turnovers on defense. They're not turning the ball over on offense. And that is a recipe to win deep in the playoffs. I also love that Pueblo's going a lot more 12P, even with all the great receivers that they have, which their top 5 receivers would all be a receiver 1 at a lot of RMAC schools. But they're unselfishly, hey, I'm going to accept my role, help out on special teams, do some other stuff, completely bought into the goal. I love the 12P stuff. I love that they're controlling the football, not turning it over. That's going to be big. That's what wins in the playoffs. Can you get in 12P? Can you run the ball? Can you control the football? And can you not turn over the football while going and getting turnovers on defense? What they're doing is the recipe for winning deep in the playoffs.
Here's a comment I want to highlight. My guy K Ferg, he says, "Why can't Fort Lewis get momentum as a program?" And I don't know that they're not. You know, their win-loss record I don't think is necessarily indicative of where they are as a program. Like they were so low in my mind, you know, a couple years back. Like they didn't win a game in like a 5-year span. To go from that to even just being competitive to like I was there at the game this weekend. Like, yeah, this score, like Pueblo's Pueblo. They're a top 10 team in the nation. They were 11th at the time, but I think they truly are starting to become a competitive team. Like they should have won the SD Mines game. They lost a close game. You know, these are the growing pains they're going through. But I do think they're starting to become a competitive team slowly but surely. And dudes like Jacob Penny, you know, like he's a dude. I don't care that he plays for Fort Lewis. I don't care about his record. Like he hasn't missed a game. He started since he was a true freshman. He hasn't missed a game. I think he had 80 tackles as a true freshman, 122 last year. He already has 76 this year. He had 15 in this game. And like it wasn't garbage time stuff. Like they were getting after Roman early in the game. He had half a sack early in the game. So, you know, I do think Fort Lewis does have a little bit of momentum. They've struggled offensively because they still haven't got it right at quarterback, which is, you know, that's the key for everybody. As we're going to go through the rest of these games and look at the rest of these scores, most of the teams that are doing really bad just don't have it at quarterback. And that's hard, especially when their star player to be, Stone Walker, has been injured for most of the season. So I actually do think they have momentum as a program a little bit. But moving along, one team that doesn't have any momentum, Black Hills State ran into a buzzsaw in Western Colorado, the number 5 team in the country. This game was, you know, competitive in the first half. Black Hills, you know, they have that reputation for playing to the level of their competition, and they did it for a half. But, you know, Western made some adjustments coming out at halftime. Coach McLean, the OC, you know, I think I got to start giving Coach McLean a lot more credit for his creativity and just what he's whipping up on the offensive end. Because, yeah, look at Drew Nash, 399, 5 tubs, no interceptions, 65%. He had another one on the ground. They got Ricky Freeman a touchdown through the air. Like, he caught a touchdown pass this weekend. Like, Western, when they're firing on all cylinders, they're on a different level. They got a defensive touchdown called a real nice corner blitz. Quarterback thought he had his little hot read where the corner came from. Safety robbed it, caught it just running full speed. Like, yeah, Western, they were really impressive. I'm sorry that we don't have video from it this time, but Western, I think they were super impressive how they responded in that second half. But what'd you guys think? Were you guys? I know some of us are going to be a little critical of Western and their lack of competition they played and how we think that might affect them down the road. Go first, dog. Go ahead and tell
Well,
them.
I really like Western. I really like all their coaches. I think they do a really good job. I mean, there's a reason they're number 5 in the country. I'm just a little skeptical of the guys that they played earlier in the year. They're not used to playing in close games and having to battle. I mean, that defense is looking really good right now. Really good. The rush defense, if you can't run the football, you cannot win. And that's been why Western 6-0. No one can run the football on them. And Black Hills particularly is really bad at running the football this year. They're averaging 60 yards a game through the rush. That's, I mean, not good.
Crazy.
Not good. And they have a good little running back. I think he's pretty good. But they just can't seem to have success through the ground. And their O-line's not bad either. I mean, they're probably better than the Mines O-line. I mean, I don't know why they can't get it done right now. I don't know. Western looked great. Drew Nash, he's a tank, and he rolled right through the what's their mascot? The Yellow Jackets, the Hornets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
the Yellow Jackets.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when I talk about Drew Nash, like he's the president, right? He's the guy that steps in, week out. I mean, this week he just put one of those Harlem Hill campaigns together where you just look at it and you go, this guy's somebody that we have to deal with. Like, we have to put him somewhere up here. The offense was doing their thing defensively, like we've been saying. They can fly around. They make the plays. They generate so much pressure that it's tough for a gamer, somebody we've talked about being great games of Luke Doobie, to feel comfortable back there, especially when you have about probably 2 to 3 seconds to throw the ball and not your average 4 or 5 seconds to throw the ball. On the other side of the fact with Black Hills State, they just don't look the same of what we saw in the first 3 weeks. I mean, those first 3 weeks, you take Grand Valley down to the wire, and then you come into RMAC play, and we barely can beat Fort Lewis. It's just, where do you go from there? This is a team that we had way up here. I mean, in the beginning of the year, they were sitting, I think, fourth.
I think last time Dom was on, I think you were the one that said Black Hills might be the best 0-3 team in the nation.
I mean,
and yeah, I thought they would turn it up from that point, but definitely not.
Hell, they might be the best 1-6 team in the country now.
I mean, there's not many of those, but yeah.
I bet you they beat the other 1-6 teams.
I totally feel that.
Because I thought they'd beat SD Mines. I thought that was like, oh yeah, they're winning that game, and yeah, they kind of got it put on them.
Hey, when it's a rivalry game, all bets are off. All bets are off. But
I said that.
I don't know. Black Hills seemed to have it and have all the pieces they needed. I don't know. I really don't have an answer. Like, they should be playing better football with how well they're coached and the guys they got.
I'm pretty sure TJ Chukwara is like still leading the nation in touchdowns. So.
In touchdowns, yeah.
Most
definitely.
He's like a dude.
Like, that's got to be your number one RMAC receiver. I don't care who else is there. Like, he still shows up and puts up the on this type of team. You had 6 catches and you had 137 yards and 2 touchdowns. So, I mean, this ain't Randy Moss going 6 for 600, but he's still putting up great stats.
Here's something I'll put out. I hope when it does come to like postseason accolades and stuff, take the records out. Just evaluate the player like on his merits alone. Like, receivers can't win games, linebackers don't win games. Maybe judge the quarterbacks on wins and losses. I'm cool with that. But the other skill players and whatnot, judge them on their production. And TJ is one of the most productive guys in the country at scoring the ball, which is the point of the game. So shout out to him. You know, he'd kind of been bottled up for a couple weeks, only having like a catch or two, but he'd still have a touchdown. But to have 137 on Western, you know, that's something. Western, like I kind of called it. I called it last week in my prediction. I knew that they were going to try to get TJ involved and give him his chances. But Western, every team that does have a real dog receiver, like they're gonna test those DBs. Like ever since that Pueblo game, I think that's how teams are gonna test Western. And the challenge with that is, can your offensive line block long enough for your quarterback to throw it down the field? Who knows? You know, in most cases not. But yeah, shout out to TJ for still having a day, even facing arguably one of the best defenses in the those boys at Shadron, you know, they got it rolling. Jeffrey Jones was back. You know, second play of the game, he busts one for about 74. Gets to the house. But Shadron, you know, they just do what they do, just grind it away. You know, it was competitive for the first quarter, and then Shadron, I kind of think they took control of the game. Highlands, they get another touchdown in the third, but I feel like Shadron was in control. And Highlands on the defensive end, you know, they couldn't stop a running faucet this past weekend. Quincy Riker had Quincy Riker, I think he's been really productive all year, the young running back for Shadron. But I think he really had his breakout, bust-out game this week. And I think he was really impressive, you know. Averaged about 10 yards a carry and scored 3 tubs. What'd you guys think?
Overall, like I said, with New Mexico Highlands start out with the beginning of the year, I mean, you got to be able to put 4 quarters together, not just 1, not just 2, not just 3, right? If they're a team, and it's terrible to say, but they're a bunch of front runners. If they're up by in the first 2 quarters, bet the money on Highlands. So, I mean, unless you really want to really get close to betting and you have South Dakota Mines game, then don't bet the money. But like they're really good about putting up points in the first half, and it feels like coming out of half, if they're not having the lead already, the rest of the team's checked out. And that's kind of been the problem. You look at the defense, again, same thing I've said since week 1. You've got 5, 6, 7 guys running to the ball. The other 3, 4, 5 guys are all just standing there, waiting for somebody else to make the play, already tapping their helmet, wanting to come off. Like, you're not going to be successful with a bunch of players like that. Shadron, on the other hand, they're used to being in these games where it's muddy football. Like, it's not give and take. They're used to battling to win the game. Tommy Thomas, I mean, Mr. Reliable, he's going to show up week in and week out. Don't matter if it's raining, hailing, snowing, or just a perfect snowy day, sunny day with a bunch of wind out in Shadron. He's still going to be there, right? And so that's kind of the difference in these two programs. You've got a team that's already kind of taken that step into the next, factor. They're undefeated in RMAC, and they're kind of a team that's, a little dark horse. Like, do they sneak away into the playoffs? They just got to win two games against two big games, and they're in, right? Even honestly, and I'll say, they win one of those games and lose the other one close, they're still potentially getting in. It really just depends on what the the circle of the RMAC of what happens throughout the rest of the weeks. But this is a team that we looked at from the beginning. They started out 0-2, and now they've built forward. They've been able to take it and keep moving. So Shadron's kind of one of those teams, don't sleep on. Like, they're only getting better, and they're already prepared to be in a battle every game. So you better bring your shields, because you're either going home on them or you're going home with them.
And they got the front runner for Defensive Player of the Year,
or at
Mr.
least
Logan
the
O'Brien.
second place, or at least the runner-up.
Tell me why. Make the argument for Logan O'Brien and why you made your case for Bryson, but tell me why Logan, if you had to make a case for him.
Man, he's getting it done too. He's getting TFLs, sacks, turnovers. He's all over the place. I mean, that's just a tough, hard-nosed football player. He's a really good player. Tommy Thomas, really good receiver, most underrated receiver in the conference. I love to see Riker break out. It seems like Shadron kind of is it right now. And when they were 0-2 playing Mines, I kind of saw that they have the pieces to kind of put this together, the coaching and the culture. And like Tanner said, they're accustomed to having games where they have to really fight and win at the end. I think that's very valuable. I'm really excited to see the Shadron and Western game. I think that'll be a really fun game to watch.
That's up at Shadron. I think we're gonna give a lot of credit to Aiden Thompson. I feel like he's the unsung catalyst of this whole, new wave of Shadron football, winning Shadron football and whatnot. Like, he's just steady. He maybe not lighting up the box score, but he's just handling the offense. And then what he also brings, as a runner, you know, he's not the I don't think he's the most nimble guy. He's a little tall and gawky, but he actually can run and he makes it happen. And I think it's actually super effective. So I want to give him a lot of credit. He's undefeated as a starter in conference play. He wasn't starting in those games out of conference, but since he's been the starter, he hasn't lost yet. And as a quarterback, I think he deserves a lot of credit for that. But another undefeated starter at quarterback, my man Cole Hansen and the boys coming off the big momentous win down in Golden. They capitalize on that momentum and they handle business against Adams. A little bit of a grudge match with Gavin Herberg, former starter over at Mesa, starting for Adams now. He had a couple moments. He had some flashes, but overall, Mesa was just too much. And Adams, it doesn't look like are we sure Adams is going to get a win this year?
They might. They haven't played Fort Lewis yet, so it's still up there. It could happen. I'll be honest. This game's just because Gavin Herberg sucks. I mean, if he were a better quarterback, they would have won this game. Just joking around. Obviously, he was out there running around making plays, and it's hard. I could talk a lot of smack. Gavin's a great kid. Like I love Gavin to the max. He's probably watching now. Gonna text me after this, tell me I'm wrong. But like, you could give Gavin 5 Reggie Slaffs to throw the ball to, and his O-line would still get him sacked. That's kind of the problem of what he's been. Really, any quarterbacks had to deal with Adams. They don't have time to run a play. They're already running a play action, and there's a DN right in your face, and it's what's stumbling them. But also, when you get back to the side that we said since week 1, the defense has been their struggle. They can't get any stops. They don't run to the ball. It's a one-on-one tackle game the entire game. I mean, it's hard to win games when you're not getting opportunities to get an extra possession. That's all you win in football is if you have one extra possession and that game's 10-10, you go down there and kick a field goal, you win the game. Well, Adams is like 7 in possessions and giving up like 14-15 against them. So they're not controlling the clock. They're not able to get the chance to actually go out there and do their things. You put Gavin back in here where he was hurt even beginning of the year. He got hurt, and now he's coming back after injury. He's making plays. He's running all over the field, throwing touchdowns, running for touchdowns, and it's just not enough. But it's because Adams is not there yet. They're 2 years, 3 years away from being very competitive in the RMAC. In which I do think they can get an upset. Like I think they can get one more win this year. I think they can get it to happen. But you gotta be able to put like a complete game together. You can't just show up and offense, go do your thing, defense, sit on the bench. You'll never win a game like that.
This is something that resonated with me because I'm from the era where Adams, they were still bottom half of the RMAC, but offensively they could go. I come from the era, Draper, you remember my senior year, our offensive player of the year of our conference was a receiver from Adams, Chad Hovas. So what I don't understand, K Ferg, I don't understand what happened. They've never really had defense. I don't think their defense has ever really been that good, but offensively, yeah, they're struggling really bad. What do we think about Mesa though? On the Mesa end, what do we think about Cole Hansen? His stat line's pretty similar to Aiden Thompson's. Not blowing the doors off, but efficient, got his one touchdown, took care of the ball, ran it. Do we think Mesa could, make a run, with the rest of their RMAC schedule? Could they be on a trajectory to where when they play Western later on, it's like a game that's really going to be competitive?
I do think this is a time where we look at Mason. They are changing. They're getting to that culture that Coach K talks about, being physical and dominant and violent. That's what they are running. They're able to control the clock. Cole's been able to come in and actually take an understanding of what they're trying to do with the offense, not trying to rush anything, make things not happen. The running backs have really, honestly, leaning on each other. You've got speed and you've got aggression. You've got somebody who makes everybody miss, and you got somebody who runs through every other person. That's kind of very much helped them. And then when you have a defense that Mesa has, where they're used to, if the game's 20 points that they've only given up, Mesa should win the game because their defense is right there. They hold them to 20 points or less. That's just statistically what they've been doing. Offense has kind of been the messing. I want to give a quick shout out to my boy Cash Bradley because he got himself a pick. White Henny, we're going to keep putting on. We got the rest of our senior year. Let's keep doing it, buddy. I need a touchdown out of you, though. You're looking a little bit slower. I said you would beat an AC in a race today, last year, years ago, in the future.
No,
I said it would happen.
I'm sorry,
so
Cash.
I need you to put it on for me, Cash. You got to get that speed
I'm sorry,
back.
Cash. You're not beating me in a race, bro.
I know the toe probably hurts, but overall, like Mesa's putting it back together. Like they look like a team that now that they have all these key pieces playing well, it kind of looks back and go like that what Central Washington game, what actually happens if we have this full roster put together with everybody back. I don't think they're winning.
I don't know. I just seen
blowout.
Central Washington knock off UTPB, so I don't know about that one.
But
I'll say the Pueblo and Shadron games, yeah. Who knows?
Yeah, and like you put this full roster together, where do you sit at now, right? So they've got the opportunity to keep going forward and get some wins. You can still be a spoiler and be that team that still gets in. You've got Western coming up. You in the year undefeated. You might be a team talking about 7th, getting into the playoffs.
They're not undefeated. They already lost to Pueblo.
Western?
No, I'm talking about Mesa. Mesa, they already they can't go undefeated in conference play anymore.
They can the rest of the season. They can go.
I don't think that. Like I think Shadron has a shot because Shadron has a chance to be undefeated in conference play. But I think 1L, unless you're Pueblo or Western, is gonna. Yeah, I think you're already eliminated. But I mean, like
look at Mesa's losses. Look at Mesa's losses.
You're right. Their losses are really, really good right now. I'll give you that.
Look at their losses. Western, again, like we said, they didn't have that competent of a preseason schedule. So if they go out there and get the win, do you give them the confidence or the benefit of the doubt that, okay, y'all played a tougher schedule. You've lost against Central Washington, Shadron, who will be in the ranking next week, and obviously Pueblo, who's 9th, I believe, right? Like those are 3 quality losses to have if it shakes out to be correctly.
Well, kudos to Mesa for just handling business. Sorry, I know we're taking forever tonight. Kudos to them. They went out and beat a team handily that they should have beat handily. That's what good teams should do, and they did that. They didn't have the letdown coming off the big win against your rival last week. But that leads us to our players of the week. 2 guys that. That offensive and defensive player of the week, I think, could be previews of what might be our offensive and defensive players of the year. Drew Nash, the president, played very presidential this weekend, took care of everybody, got everybody involved, had Hayden Meisner, dude. I think that's a guy we're not talking about enough is receivers. You want to talk about most underrated receiver in the conference? Tommy Thomas, I think we all know about Tommy Thomas. He's Mr. Consistency, Dom. But Caden Meisner, I don't know if you saw his first touchdown, that 60-yarder where he scampered up the sideline. I thought he was going to get tackled 4 times. They had angles on him multiple times. And I'm like, how did he score that? And then the other one where he gets wide open and makes the tough catch in the end zone. obviously it took the president, setting him up and put him in a position to do that. But then you got Logan O'Brien and then SD Mines, even in a loss. Their punter, Mr. Patton, had a 75-yard punt that got downed at the 5-yard line. So all of our guys did their thing. What do you guys think of these players? Am I hyping up those two for offensive and defensive player, or am I of the right mind, fellas?
Well, let's hold our horses a little bit. I mean, there's still 5 games to play. There's a lot of big games to play. We'll have to see. I don't know if I think the betting favorite for defensive player of the year right now is Bryson Torrey, just with how he's played. Drew Nash, man, he's a tank. I've said it a million times. He is something special. I said before the year, I think this Drew Nash might be better than any John Matoka was. And everyone thought I was crazy, and he is looking every bit of what I said. And then as for a punter winning special teams of the player of the week, you don't want your punter on the field, But shout out to him for getting it done, getting it down 75 yards. Yeah.
What's crazy is that 75-yarder is the second longest in the conference this season. Like, there's been one longer than that.
I mean, it was probably a roller that just rolled for 40 yards.
I think we really got to give Drew Nash. I think he's locked it up in my viewing. He's locked it up. That's the guy who's going to show up week in and week out and get 4+. Defensively, it's open. I mean, it's going to go Torrey to O'Brien to even the other backer for Western. I just forgot his name.
Well, we can't forget about
Loomis.
Reggie. Can't forget about Reggie.
And you can. And I think you will soon with Drew Nash just putting up more yards and touchdowns like he is.
Well, I think it's tough with Reggie just because
Western. Then how could you give it to Western over?
I think it's tough with Reggie just because he might be statistically outproduced by other receivers in the conference. Tommy Thomas is right there with him. Chuck Warren's leading right now. Can you win Offensive Player of the Year if you weren't the best at your position?
I really just want to
plays that matter. It's one thing to catch.
Then how is then okay? Then if I'm going to use that argument, then Logan should be in pole position over Bryson. Logan balled versus Mines when they were a ranked team, whereas Bryson had his touchdowns in this pick versus Fort Lewis and Adams.
But he keeps doing. But he does it
and both ways. There's still a lot of games to be played. We're just talking today. If it was today, but
give me a long snapper to win the special teams player of the year. Give me a long snapper. I don't care. Give me a single one because they are reliable. They get hit on the top of their helmets, and those snaps are crisp. Give me, you know what? Give me Western's long snapper. I don't even know who you are. Great job snapping the ball this year.
At least know the guy's name, man.
Well, you know what? Number 47. Call me half the announcers in the RMAC.
Moving along, we got top 25. As you see, we got two teams from our conference in the top 10, rated 10 of the best in the nation. A lot of teams from our region. What do you guys think? Pueblo worked their way back into the top 10. It took week 2 was when they lost to Fort Hays and fell out of it. They've climbed their way back. Kudos to them. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean we're shaking up now. I mean, you look at our original 10 that we had in there, still familiar faces that we're looking at. We see number 11 on there. Bunch of showbirds. They're gone now. No, I'm just kidding. An upset that just happened to them. And then now they're there. That's another team that's still in our region that we got to think about, right? We still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams, correct, in the top 15 that are in our region. Super Region 4 is going to be a manslaughter to get. We talk about having to do another region. Yeah, I mean, we would like to say that, but next year, watch out, and all these teams are completely different. But I mean, this year's going to be a slaughter fest to just get into the playoffs. That's why it comes down to Western and Pueblo. They still got to play Chadron both. They've still got to play each other. So how does that shake up? Central Washington still got to play the rest of some really good teams in the Lone Star. UTB still got to clean up. I don't believe Harding and Southern Arkansas have played each other yet, so that's another game that's going to be kind of.
I think they're playing Henderson State this week.
And then that's like their third ranked team in their conference. Like, so, I mean, there's a lot of shakeups that can still happen. I still think the one team that's just going to be up there week in, week out is going to be Ferris.
Yeah.
And
for sure.
That's just kind of
deservedly so. Deservedly so.
Unless you're at Old Miss and you get, talked crap on for playing D2 football, winning national championship.
Gosh, come on, Lane.
I don't know what Lane was talking about. He was like, we can't do that D2 stuff. And I was just like, oh, the D2 stuff where he had 65 touchdowns or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Like unheard
the D2
of
stuff
season.
That has you guys ranked number 4 in the country right now.
Yeah.
It's crazy how.
But Pueblo is Pueblo. The whole point of the rankings is to give the fans something. Okay, where's everybody kind of at right now? In that building at Pueblo, the rankings are called rat poison. It's just, they do a good job of just not looking at that kind of stuff. What matters is the ranking at the end of the year. So kudos to them and their mentality. Yeah, down there, they don't care about the ranking.
Oh, here we go, Draper. Yeah, they already beat them.
Well, you gave me some knowledge. I didn't know they lost them. I knew they were 4-1 or 5-1, so I was like, I didn't think they had played them. Dom, when you say the end of the year ranking for Pueblo, what is the best ranking you ever had from Pueblo?
6.
6. Yeah, I mean, like that's when we look at the ranking board and we're like, oh yeah, they're sitting at 9. I mean, we've been there before when they were 3, 4, 7, all the way up. The biggest curse to Pueblo is the team that's right in front of them. I mean,
it's so ironic that they're right next to each other.
They're right next to each other.
How happy is Pueblo that they're not in our region anymore?
I don't even want to talk about it.
I'll speak for them. I'm thankful they're not. I had another guy named Jamal Sears we were talking about on the phone earlier. He's like, thankfully we don't have to play Mankato sport or teams at all, or any Minnesota teams. That's kind of been the kryptonite in the years.
It'll come with time, Dom. Like, if I would have been doing this show in 2019 when I first finished, I couldn't do this show. Like, it would hurt me to talk about certain teams. But you'll get over it, bro. You'll get over it, man. You don't have to play them anymore. You only get to play these RMAC schools this week.
You're wearing purple now. I mean, you fit into it.
Yeah, you are. You rock purple on the regular now, actually.
Yeah, but not that ugly purple and yellow. That's for sure. This is purple and black.
We know how to trigger Dom at the drop of a dime.
Well, I mean, I think that game is why Pueblo's having success this year, right? They realized, hey, when we get in the playoffs, we need to be able to get in 12P, control the football, and really run the football. Like, that is the key to success in the Division II playoffs. You have to get in 12P and be able to just 4 yards, control the football. It is what it is. They realize that, and they're getting into that, and they look good.
No doubt about it. Well, let's talk about our games this week. What you called the trap game for Western Colorado.
This is their trap game. This is their trap game.
They got the long road trip up to Rapid City, up in South Dakota, for South Dakota Mines team that's 2-5, but like we keep mentioning, are truly improving. You see it every week. They just look a little bit better. They're starting to look like more and more of like a legitimate college team, whereas like those first couple weeks, they looked really, really bad. So credit to Coach Floor and the boys, but they got a big, tough task against Western, with Western coming in. Their rushing offense, I think SD Mines, they really couldn't run the ball early in the year. But the past 2 weeks, Ty Harris and Dawson Dunbar, they've really gotten it going. I think that's going to come to a halt this week. You see that number for Western, only giving up 78 yards on the ground a game. Their front seven is just ferocious. They're just a bunch of savages, a bunch of dogs. Ricky Freeman's not even having the statistical year that like we've come to expect. But I still think, like, if this were D1 and we had like the eyes that D1 has and had like Pro Football Focus and whatnot, the amount of pressures he gets, like almost sacks he gets that other guys end up converting into sacks because Ricky gets the initial pressure. Like, he's still dominating and having like a dominating season in that aspect. But the other guys are stepping up too. Like Drew Johnson had 4 TFLs last week. The defensive end on the other side. K Stu, as the season's gone on and he's been getting more and more playing time, he's balling. Ian Loomis. I think Western's going to be ready to go. If you guys got arguments for what you think SD Mines, I know you picked SD Mines last week to pull off the upset. You going with them to get the upset this week, Draper?
You know what? I'm going with Drew Nash, going to get his face put on to Mount Rushmore. He's going to be the 5th one up there. He's going to go up there with 7 touchdowns, over 400 yards. And guess what? He's going to be out of this game by the 3rd quarter because we've seen the vice president play this year, and he's just as good. Western by 60.
Okay.
Dom?
Do I think ST Mines can beat Western?
Make your pick. Make your pick.
Heavens no. Western by 60.
Western by 60.
But hey, it's the trap game. You never know. You never know. I mean,
Mine's by
I don't
8.
think Western by 60, but Western comfortably. I think Western handles business. Like, they're not messing around. Another team, I think this is the trap game for Pueblo. I mean, Black Hills has never actually sprung the trap completely, but over the years they've played Pueblo really, really close. Usually they do it down in Pueblo. They decide to play them close. I don't have very much hope for Black Hills in this one. You know, like, my hopes ran out. You know, maybe 2 weeks ago, I still thought, you know, they could beat one of the better teams in the RMAC. I don't believe that anymore. I just don't think that they can get it done. Do either you guys think I'm wrong or think Black Hills has any shot in this one?
No. You know, I got Pueblo all day, obviously, but my challenge to Pueblo is, hey, you're facing the worst rush offense in the conference. Get after them. Get after them. You know, don't let them hang around. Don't let them make plays.
It's funny you say that because
6-1 versus 1-6.
It's funny you say that because this was a comment we got earlier.
Hey,
0 net rushing yards.
Black Hills will not be able to block Pueblo's defensive line. That's what I think. That's what I said. Like, I want to see net 0. That's what I want to see. If Black Hills gets 20 yards, it ain't it. We got to get 0. That's the goal.
Draper, devil's advocate. Come on, man.
I'll paint the picture. This game about 7 years ago was exactly like this. We were 6 and something. I think we were 6-0 going into Black Hills. They're 1-5, is I believe what it was. We had 7 interceptions and 3 forced fumbles. They had negative 56 total offensive yards. That's what I want to see CSU Pueblo do in this game. This is a team that you see that they're lifeless. Go take the rest of their life away. Go score your points. And for Black Hills, go out there and put some points up. Everybody's already overlooking at you, all right? Like, go put the points up. I'm still going to say CSU Pueblo by 61, which I think this makes it. I took CSU Pueblo to win for the first time this year in any game I've picked. Give me my pack on Mater.
Here's my pick. I got Pueblo by 62. And what I got is because Sampleton made that comment, I know his legacy game is coming Saturday. If he went on the RMAC show and said they will not have us 0 yards, I know his head is somewhere different right now, and those guys better be ready.
Here's my challenge, or it's not a challenge. It's just this is what I'm most interested in. Is Pueblo going to be the first team to stop TJ Chukwara from getting in and getting pay dirt? Because he scored in every game on every team. You know, the good ones, the bad ones, all of them. Are they going to be the team that can lock him down, or is he going to get his again regardless? You know, and I know there's going to be that little, like, who's going to have the better game, him or Reggie? Like, I'm super excited to see, like, they're not obviously going to be on the field with each other, but the receiver matchup, you know, we got some great ones in our conference.
Give me Cookie. Cookie's gonna have the most yards this week. Cookie's gonna have that's my
Cookie?
sleeper
Okay.
pick. Cookie's
Yeah,
gonna
give
have
me-
the most yards.
I think Cookie's way. I think Cookie is gonna have his big game in the really big game. You know, he didn't get to play in that Western game last year. I think that's the game where Cookie's really gonna do his thing. But and maybe that Mines game too. But my pick for this week, I think Pueblo handles business on the road. I think they win by at least 21. I actually don't think this one's gonna be close. I don't
You
think
asked
Black
if
Hills. I
you
think
asked
they may be able to keep it competitive for a quarter, but yeah, they're not gonna. I think Pueblo will pull away and win comfortably by at least 21. What were you about to say though?
you asked if they could shut down TJ. Obviously, we're going to have to see, but that back five is the best back five in the country. So if I had to bet my life on it, I would say that those back five get it done.
I mean, I
As long as it's not a
see. I don't want to.
5-10.
I don't. This is where I don't want to piss people off and whatnot because I like all those guys and I do think that they're a fantastic secondary. But like, it's not like I haven't seen a guy go off on him. I saw Jack Pospisil, the Colorado kid from Central Missouri, a 5'9" slot guy, have 240 yards on him. Like
Yeah, it's
they
almost
can
like
be had.
that they had like 80 pass attempts that game. It's an air
Two,
raid offense. Like
two different quarterbacks. So I will say they should have put the right-hander in. Right-handed quarterback should
If
always be
with
your
the right
quarterback
hander in,
option.
I don't know how many he would have had. He might have had like 400.
Yeah.
maybe
This
So I mean,
a
in
good
Dobbs'
dude. It's a
defense,
team
this
sport.
is the Bryson Torrey MVP conversation game. He's gonna get another interception for a touchdown.
Yeah.
this is the challenge. That's why I'm so excited to see it because Pueblo's secondary is so star-studded and talented against a guy that clearly is a dude. Like I can't wait for them to play Tommy Thomas as well. You know, I'm sad that Flynn's not going to get to go up against these guys. Like I want to see
What
them
is he
against
out
all
for
the
the
best
year?
receivers.
Yeah.
Yeah, Flynn tore he hurt his knee. He's done for the year.
So
He's recovering
I
now.
hope he decides to come back for another run.
Oh, he's
Well,
coming back.
without
No,
a doubt.
he's coming back.
A
He's
lot of
coming back.
guys, they'll just go take their 100K a year job and move on. But
He's already yeah, he's one of these up here. But yeah, I got Pueblo winning this one comfortably. I think they get their 7th win of the year. This one, Shadron, I think Shadron, kind of the same story as Pueblo. I think they're just gonna handle business. I don't think Fort Lewis has the proper pieces to beat a team like Shadron. I think Shadron's just gonna be too physical up front. And I think they're gonna get after Jacob Morris. Like I would honestly start Jake Jones in this one if I was Fort Lewis because he's more dynamic as a runner. Because I think he's going to be running for his life with Logan O'Brien and the True brothers and Stimler. I think they're going to get after Fort Lewis. I got Shadron winning comfortably. They beat Highlands by 17 last week, so I think they'll win this game. Because I think Highlands' offense is a lot more explosive than Fort Lewis. I think Shadron wins by at least 21.
Yeah, I'm right there behind you. This Battle of the Birds, it's going to be very birdy and boring, but there's going to be a safety. I mean, there's going to be a safety. Fort Lewis has had a safety the last 4 games, I think. Shadron's forced 2 of the last 4 games. There's going to be a safety somewhere. But I think Shadron is just too much to handle. They're going to keep that powerhouse going. Fort Lewis, they're not there yet to where we thought they were going to be able to win games. They still haven't even figured out how to win the game yet. Shadron's going to put it on them. 21, 28 points. And that's just in the first quarter. Overall score, I don't even think it's going to be that close. But Shadron by a mile.
I don't share the same opinion. I think it's going to be Shadron. I think the score is within about 15 points. I think Fort Lewis is going to be able to hang a little bit. I still got Shadron. I think Shadron's a good team, but I think Fort Lewis hangs a bit.
I think something to watch in this game and something that's really impressive to me is Fort Lewis's run defense. Jacob Pitty and the boys, they only give up 120 yards on the ground per game. I saw them live this week. They are, even though they're small, like they're light behind, they're little guys, but I think that they're really tough and Quincy Riker coming off that 220-yard game. I think Fort Lewis is going to be loading the box, and they're going to force Tommy Thomas to beat him over the top, which I think he's totally capable of. So I do think the Skyhawks win big, but I think that's like the little matchup within the matchup to watch in this one. Shadron's rushing offense is coming off their biggest game of the year, going up against Jacob Penny-led rush defense. What does that look like, and who wins that one? So I'm excited to see that. But oh no, this isn't our last game. This is our next to last game. This is what I think is probably going to be, on paper, the most competitive game, right? Would you guys say so?
This game or the last game for sure.
Well, what's your guys' initial thoughts on this? Like, Highlands is reeling, and they're reeling bad. Do you think this is the game that they rebound? They are at home, welcoming the Mavericks to Las Vegas. Do you think that factors in, and maybe they could get back going?
I think it's going to be a very competitive game, like you talked about. The thing about Highlands is Jeff Jones is a dog. If they can get him going and they can control the football, like I said in the beginning of the year, if you can run the football and you can control it, you're going to be in every game you play, even if their defense is giving up 42 points a game. I think they'll get it figured out a little bit. I'm with Draper hey, their defensive guys, a lot of them aren't running to the ball. There's not that tenacity, that indomitable spirit that we want to see in a good football team. But I think it'll come. I think they're well coached. They have a tough culture with military coaches down there. Excited to see how they grow. I still think Highlands gets 6 wins this year. Mesa, underrated team. Same thing. If you can get in 12P, they're trying to control the football. What this game comes down to is who can really control the rock. Comes down to turnovers. I'll take Mesa by 10.
This is the game that I'm going to try to get to, depending on everything going on this week. It's only a 3-hour drive. I'm trying to get there. Do I think Highlands has a chance to beat Mesa? Yes, but it's also going to come down to, like we've said, their defense actually showing up. We know their offense is going to produce. Their defense is yet to show up and produce throughout the games. Like every game that they've ran away with, that's because their offense put up 100 points. Every game that they've been lost, the defense has showed up not one time, and their offenses went out and tried the most that they can. They have 444 yards. 444 yards of total offense. Defense has given up more than that. I mean, you're ranked up here at the number 1, and you're ranked down here on the defense. You're sounding like the Dallas Cowboys. So you got to be able to kind of, be complimentary. You have to play complimentary football. Mesa's just a team that they've already taken 2 years of developing. Their players are there. I've got Mesa winning this game, pretty comfortably. I've got Gibby Leafgren, untied shoes at least 4 or 5 times. That kid ties his shoes the most out of anybody else in the game. So I'll take that. And then I'm going to take a surprise and say Cash Bradley gets a special teams touchdown this week.
He's going to have a kick return, eh?
Oh, yeah. He's going to either have a kick return. They're going to put him back there at punt. Something's going to happen for Cash. He's going to bust one out. Don't get me wrong. Jeffrey Jones is probably going to go over for another 150.
At least 100.
Yeah, he's going to at least get his thing in there. But I think Mesa's just too established to lose a game like this.
That's the matchup within the matchup to this one to me. Like, on the Mesa end, which running back is going to go off? It was Belgrave versus Mines. It was Aiden last week. Like, you were watching the broadcast, Dean thought Aiden had the player of the week locked up, but he didn't know what the president had did. No fault to Dean on that. But Aiden had a hell of a game. He was toting that thing. 3 touchdowns. He was running hard. Who's going to be the guy this week for Mesa that they're really going to lean into and give those carries to? And then on Highlands' end, we all expect and know Jeffrey's going to do his thing, but is Tavita or Mason Peterson going to have a real breakout game? Or is Colin Stuckey, who they've gone with 2 weeks in a row at quarterback, is he going to have a breakout game, passing the ball? He hasn't really been as effective through the air. He hasn't they don't throw the ball very much. Like, I think he had like 8 attempts this past week. But when Ike was in, Ike was, having 2, 3 touchdowns in his 10, 12 attempts. He might have a pick here or two, but I'd like to see Colin, throw the ball a little bit more. But this game I do think this one has the chance to be really interesting depending on what version of Highland shows up defensively. Like, I do think their pass rush is good. I think they have one of the more underrated pass rushers in the conference in Corey Martin. Like, if I'm not mistaken, he might be leading the conference in sacks. So we'll see what comes of it. But I do think this one has the chance to be really good. I'm going to go with my Mavs. I think the Mavs win by 14 points. I think they're just a more mature team. So, late in the game, I think Mesa capitalizes and gets it done, and maybe pushes the score out to make the game look less close than it actually is. But our last game of the week, the one that I'm not expecting this to be close. Dom, you be making some crazy predictions. Draper, you as well. Who's going to predict the Grizzlies to go into gold and get the dub? They haven't won a conference game at home this year. They won against an MIAA team, but they haven't won against the RMAC in Golden. Does that streak continue, or do the Ore Diggers snap that?
Yeah, they get it. They get the job done here. They're well coached at the end of the day. They've been getting better. Adams just won't have enough for them. I do like what Adams is doing, recruiting wise, and their program. They pretty much got a fresh slate. It's tough. It's
complete restart.
For a complete restart. I think they'll get it going. Maybe not this year, but maybe next year they'll start getting it going.
I'm gonna take a page out of the book from Mike Leach, right? So if you took Blaster and put him in a room and then you put a grizzly bear, who is winning that fight? That's how I feel right now, because Adams State's winning this week. Gosh dang it, we're getting our first win. We're getting on opposing territory. Gavin Harburg is going off for 300 yards. I've got the confidence in him. What the heck is Blaster even doing out there? We worried about a blowing up donkey? We're sending him in there blowing up? No, come on. Give me the Grizzly, Adams State on the road by 3. Call me Dom Feeney week 3.
Dom Feeney week 3? That's who you've morphed into, Draper? You're out of your mind, bro. Like, all respect to Adams, all respect to the Grizzlies, and I'm never trying to disrespect the players or make light of them. They're college football players. I know the grind the work they're putting in and whatnot. So it sucks, but I don't think they have any chance to win this game. Unless they knock Capper out the first play, I don't think there's any shot they have to win. I think Mines is just too well coached. They're not going to lose a game of this magnitude. They could lose to a Shadron. That's a really well coached team, really strong defensive, bunch of older, tougher guys. A Mesa team that, even though we've always kind of looked at them as young, Draper, because we've watched all these guys get recruited and stuff, they kind of are a more older, mature team at this point. They're not young guys anymore. I don't think a team that's, in the middle of a rebuild and restart is going to go into Golden and get a victory. I just don't believe that. I think this will be a great learning experience for them as a team. A great litmus test, and hey, if this is where we're at, this is where we need to go. But I think the Ore Diggers are going to roll and win comfortably. I got the Ore Diggers winning by, I think Mines gets over 40 points this game. So I think they get over 40 and they win by 20. So they hold Adams under 20, which I'm not sure if they've crossed the 20 threshold all year. But I think Adams' offense, or Mines' offense, really gets it going and gets a 40 ball this week. So before we go, I want to thank everybody that helped us with our video, Mr. Noah Miller and the fine folks over at KOTA, and my boy Oli, dude. He's just, oh man, hidden talent, to say the least. Hidden talent.
Beast.
Besides that, you got your high school game? Is it a Friday or Saturday night tilt this week?
We're Friday. We're heading out to Montrose. Take them on.
Big game.
They're a good little squad. We're ready to go. We're fired up.
Are they still running the wing, all that good stuff?
You better believe it. We're coming.
You guys better be assignment sound, that's for sure. Do
Oh yeah.
you, Draper? So you said you might be in Las Vegas this week.
We're gonna try to make that play, make that move. I do want to say one shout out that we completely forgot to kind of mention. Shout out with CMU with their passing of Patty Arnold this last week. A really good, really just a
Legend.
great person, a legend. Just what was created out in the slope from Patty is just it's missing now. A lot of people, AC, I'm sure you've got to do a couple articles with Patty. I got to see one my first year up there with Miles and Mason. Really, just a big shout out to the family. Condolences that I'm sorry you're going through the loss, but that treasure will continue being passed on out there at CMU.
Yeah, Patty's an absolute legend. Like I'll speak to Patty a little bit. Just an extraordinary sports mind and an ability to tell stories, like just an amazing storyteller. And just dedicated, like you every big game on the Western Slope, regardless of sport, not just football, not just CMU athletics, but JUCO World Series, high school stuff. She really pioneered, like sports coverage on the Western Slope. And me, clearly, you see what I do for a living and whatnot. I really appreciated that. I really appreciated her as a player. When she would interview you or tweet your name out, like it was a big deal for all of us. So big shout out to Mrs. Patty Arnold, an amazing woman and an amazing sports journalist that will definitely be missed. But yeah, but that's all we got for this week. Thank you, Dom, for coming along. We appreciate
Thank
it.
you for having me.
Always bring the spice to the party. And Draper, my man, as always. For everybody that tuned in, we want to thank you guys too. We really appreciate it. And we'll see you guys next week. Get out to a game if you can.